I said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. When you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
Hi there, my name is Toby and this is Body Efficiency Training, and there is a great deal of similarity between this training and Bruce Lee's martial art Jeet Kune Do, because Bruce Lee was searching for body efficiency. He was trying to develop the most efficient way of fighting, the most efficient martial art. So he wasn't limited to any one style. He wasn't even limited to Wing Chun, the style that he learnt. He studied everything, and he was thinking very practically about how can we simply fight with the most efficient way? What's the best way we can get on and fight? And that's what it's all about. Now, in this training, body efficiency training, I'm not only thinking about fighting, I'm actually thinking about everything we do. How can we improve the efficiency in our body for every single thing that we do? Well, there's two things that we've got to work on. One is body dynamics. We've got to work on our body structure and the way we use our body, because we waste a lot of energy just using our body incorrectly. And then we've also got to be aware of our energy. We've got to feel our energy, feel our chi, because that will tell us how much energy we're using and whether we're being efficient or not. If we're wasting a lot of energy, chances are we're not being very efficient. So these two things are simply the yin and yang of body efficiency training. Body dynamics and feeling the chi. These are the two sides of it. And within the body dynamics, there's also two things we've got to work on. Within body dynamics, the first thing we've got to work on is our body structure, our bone structure, our spinal alignment. And the second thing we've got to work on is our body flow, a freedom of movement, just the ability to move relaxed. And that's what we're working on here in this little fight. And it's a very good little fight. This is about 5, 6, 7 years ago, me training. I'm on the left and my good friend is on the right. And we're working on just relaxation, and it's a bit of a funny fight. What we just did there is striking only. We're only allowed to attack. There's no blocking, no defense. So we've got to just throw our hands out like water, loose and relaxed, and try and intercept the opponent. You see there, he's punching, but I'm intercepting him with my punch. And that is Bruce Lee's idea. Jeet Kune Do means the way of the intercepting fist. So you don't waste any time blocking, you're just attacking, but you attack in such a way that you counteract your opponent's attack. And this is a little bit, this is like a game we're playing, it's a dance. So it's not really fighting, and of course, because this is very dangerous. We're just throwing out attacks without thinking about defense. So again, we've got to do this very slowly and very carefully. This is about feeling. We're feeling the flow in our body. But if you watch this fight nice and carefully, you'll see there's some very interesting moves that happen in this fight. Now, my name is Toby, and I've spent most of my life training in various different martial arts, most of the time in Shaolin Kung Fu and Tai Chi, but really I've been studying Chi energy. I've been studying the life force, and I've studied all sorts of different body movements, different practices, meditations, and even philosophies. And I've been trying to understand the life force energy. How does it work? What's it all about? And how do we get it? Because everyone talks about this life force and the chi, but we want to feel it. We really want to experience this. It's got to become real to us. See, at the moment it's all just a bit theoretical. We all think there's a life force, but none of us really feel it. If we could feel it, if we could experience it, if we could harness it, imagine what kind of a life we would be living. And it's not so much about how you live your life even. It doesn't even matter what you do in life. See, the life we live is an experience we're having, and we've got to have whatever experience we want to have. But if we could understand the life force energy, we'd understand what this experience is, and we'd be able to get the most out of it. And this is what it's all about. And even in martial arts here, martial arts is just a metaphor. It's a way of training awareness. You see, when you're doing fighting like this, even though this is very, very friendly fighting, we have to be aware. I can't go to sleep. See, a lot of trainings we do, we get used to it and we just repeat this training over and over, and we sort of fall asleep in the training. And then we don't really learn anymore. Our mind sort of switches off and is going somewhere else, and our body's doing something else, and we've lost the connection. In order to find the best, most efficient way of using our body, there needs to be awareness. We've got to combine our mind and body together. And when we do this sort of pushing hands, this fighting method, we can't lose awareness. We have to feel everything, because if we lose awareness, well, we get hit. So you have to move spontaneously and freely and try and feel it from the body. You're trying to bypass the mind. You're not thinking, you're just feeling. And in this fight here, we're working on this relaxation, this flow, and we're working on just simply, like I said, attacking, so that we're trying to create a flow and throw that flow outwards. I've got to create a flow from my core, a movement from my core, and extend it outwards into my opponent. But at the same time, I've got to be aware that something might be coming back at me. So at the same time I'm throwing out, I've also got to retreat. You see, there's a classic example. We're both striking at the same time. I retreated against his strike, but extended my strike at the same time. And there again, I strike, he strike, but I retreated at the same time as striking. So you've got to be able to have a separate body. Every part of your body is loose and separate and can move separately. Now that was an interesting strike. We again both strike at the same time, but I suddenly extended my structure. At that point I used my body structure and pushed him away, and that counteracted his strike. So again, watch carefully in this fight. There's some very interesting moves, if you can see what we're doing. And it's not limited to the arms. You see there, I'm using my shoulder to block. I'm using my head, using my spine, using the whole body. And when I separate out the joints, each joint is loose, then I can move any part of my body any time. And I can move it independently and separately. So I can punch forward with my hand, but pull my head back at the same moment. So this is highly efficient. I can evade and strike always simultaneously. Now there, I'm flowing a movement. You see, he struck up, I move my head up. He pushed my shoulder, I move my shoulder. So I'm going with the attack. If I move away as he attacks me, it reduces the force of the impact. It's like water. When you try and push water, it moves away. You have to push water very, very fast to slap it, to smash it. So this is a way of counteracting this fighting. If you're fighting someone fluid like this, you have to move very, very fast so that they can't react. This is again slightly slow. You have to be able to feel a push to react. And it's very similar to Sistema. If you look at Sistema, they fight a lot like this as well. But it's not quite the same. This is just my own way of doing this. And of course it's completely freestyle. We're just playing. And the rules are we're trying not to bother with blocking. We're simply trying to move and attack. We're not even thinking about blocking. But we are, of course, deflecting our opponent's moves. So we're also moving and deflecting their force. But we've got to feel that deflection and create a flow from it and use that as a counter strike. So we're using our opponent's force against them. They push me, and as he pushes me, I use that push to transform it through my body into another strike. So it's all about the flow. This is water. We're flowing like water. There's a freedom. And water is one of the 5 elements in the Taoist philosophy. So water is one of these styles of qi. The qi has different movements, different effects, a different experience of qi. So there's water, there's fire, there's wood, and there's metal, and there's earth. Each one of these is a different dynamic to the qi, the force. And it's one and the same force, but this force goes through a process. It transforms, it moves, it's always doing something, and it's doing one of these 5 things. These are the 5 elements. So in this fight you could say we're doing water kung fu, or water style kung fu. We're flowing like water, and we're just concentrating on that aspect of the qi. We're concentrating on relaxation and body flow. But remember, that is only half of the picture. In body efficiency training, we need 2 sides to this coin. We need to have a strong body structure, which will be holding a tension in the body in the correct position. And then we need this, a body flow, a relaxation, the ability to separate out all the joints so that your whole body is fluid like water. So we need to connect the joints together into a strong structure, and we need to be able to separate them all out so that we sort of collapse and we flow through this structure. So if we receive a strike, the strike collapses through the structure and we reduce the impact. We don't feel it. See there, I'm holding a bit of a structure, but he's bouncing into me. See, it's even like if you get punched in the face, it's better to fall back, even if you fall back on the floor. Go with the flow, fall down, don't worry about it, because by pulling your face away, you're still getting hit, but you're reducing the impact a bit. If you stay rigid and strong when someone punches you in the face, well, you're just fighting against that impact and you'll take double the force into your face. So you've got to move away with the impact. So the way of the intercepting fist, as Bruce Lee is talking about, it would be I am intercepting my opponent's strike with my own strike, but it is also the other side of the coin. I reduce the impact of his strike. If I get it, I intercept his strike with my face. Say he's punching me in the face. I intercept his strike with my face by using my face, my head, and pulling it away from the strike. I've got to feel the strike and go with it. So it's a sort of interception, but I'm not fighting against it, because if I fight with my head, that's going to double the impact on my head. But I reduce the impact by letting my head move. And that can only happen if my neck is loose. I've got a control in my neck and my spine. And if I only move my neck, well, then I get whiplash. So I've got to be able to pull my head back and then pull my spine back and then pull my hips back. It all got to flow through the bones so that no one joint gets any injury. It goes through all the joints and it flows through my whole body. And this is the skill. This is whole body power and whole body flow. I've got to learn how to hold a structure together. Now I'm falling on him, you saw that. I'm using a complete relaxation, it's a bit like Drunken Style, and just falling. I'm using my body weight to fall into my opponent. Now again, you can only we're doing this playing. In a real fight, you've got to be very careful with this. But here we can play an experiment. And this is what we've got to do. We've got to feel and play. So if you've got a good partner you can practice fighting with, you just got to play around and you've got to trust each other. Go slowly and carefully. Don't hurt each other, because you want to be able to practice this for hours and hours and hours and hours. If every time you fight you hurt each other, you can't practice much. It's not really sparring, it's not really fighting. This is feeling your body flow and playing with your structure. So you can also practice. You see, every now and then I'll change the structure, but mostly this is all flow. You can see how I use the body, cave the spine in, let the head move, let the jaw move. You see, and there you go, and moving my jaw with the strike to let that reduce the strike. If I can't intercept it, I've got to be able to move my head freely. And boxers are very good at this. They use a lot of ducking, using their head, so they're very good with dodging and ducking and weaving with their head. And we need that ability. It's a very good ability, but we also need the ability to feel it once we get struck in the head, because mostly you're hit in the head and you don't know it. You didn't see it coming. You just feel it. So when you feel it, you've got to be able to move, and you move freely so that you can reduce the impact, let your body go with it. And again, Systema are very expert at this. Systema talk a lot about this particular ability. Now, this body efficiency training is really a martial art, because martial art is the ultimate use of your body. It's the ability to move spontaneously and respond to something happening to you. And it's very useful in life. We need to be able to respond to everything that happens to us. We can never know what's coming next. There's always a surprise around the corner. So the only way we can train for surprises is sort of martial arts. Martial arts is spontaneously responding to a surprise. And we've got to be able to move our body, move freely, so that we can absorb this surprise. And we also need to be able to move suddenly strong, that if we decide, hang on a second, I'm not going with this, I'm going to fight against this, then I can move it there again. I push him, move into a powerful structure. So then I'm using my whole body as a single unit, as a single structure. So that is the most efficient. I get the most power out of my body with the least amount of effort if I can use the whole bone structure. So I'm fighting with my bone structure. I'm not fighting with my muscles. How do I activate the bone structure? I activate the bone structure by holding the correct alignment. I've got to know what that correct alignment is. I can't just hold any old structure. It's got to be the best one. There's a particular geometry through the bones. The human body is designed in a certain way, and there's only going to be a few optimum structures. And I'm going to teach you these structures on this channel. I've already done a few of them. You can look through and see some of these ways that I hold the body. And the most important one is the neutral stance. I'll talk about that in a moment. But you can see body structure and body flow. This is the yin and yang, and this will allow us to achieve body efficiency. The best way of using our body for everything we do, everything. Lifting a bag, going up and down stairs, and even this fighting somebody. But it's the same lying down and sleeping. Once you know how your body structure works, you can sleep better. You can move around in your sleep in different structures and let the chi, let the energy flow as you're sleeping. There you can see how I'm absorbing his strikes by letting the body move. There's got to be a fluidity like water. So it's whole body power and whole body flow. But what is the optimum structure? The optimum structure is what I call the neutral stance. It's the neutral spine. The spine has got to be in its natural position. And I define the neutral stance as what position is a question. What position would your body hold, or would your body find if it were floating in space and you could achieve perfect relaxation? You see, this means there is no force acting on your body internally or externally. Gravity is not acting on you, and no tension in your muscles is acting on you. So what shape would your body form? Well, this is the neutral stance, and I'll leave the link below to see more about that and how this works. But it's a very primitive stance. It's like the wild man. It's an ancient stance. Your body naturally forms into this. You've got a curve in the spine, a backwards arch. There, I've got a little backwards arch. Your shoulders up and back, and your hips are a bit back as well. It looks very primitive, but this is the middle point of all movement. Your arms and legs and everything can move evenly in any direction from here. So if you always spring back to this position, you're always ready to move any direction at all. So this is the way of this training. We've got to understand the neutral stance. And I think, of course, this is a martial art. This body efficiency is a martial art. And if you want to call it a name, I would now think I'll call this Wild Man Kung Fu. So I'm going to talk more about this, and I'm going to do a series of exercises that I'll teach you this Wild Man Kung Fu one step at a time. And it's quite easy, we can all do it. And if you're already expert in martial arts, it's well worth listening to this, because it will take your game up to the next level. Because whatever martial art you're doing, if you could understand the body structure, you will be able to apply the body structure to your particular martial art and improve it. So it's very, very universal what I'm trying to do here. But Bruce Lee didn't seem to work this bit out. He's worked out that you do need force, you need strength, and you need a certain amount of structure, because his way of the intercepting fist is with power. You have to intercept by striking. There's a power there. So although he says be like water, he's also using power, and that's not like water. That's more like shooting a gun. He will intercept your punch by firing his punch out faster, and that will block his punch out the way, and yours will hit first. So that's not water, but he also moves like water. You've got to be able to move freely, skip about, and you see how he skips about. And as he skips about, of course, he's looking for the fastest way back in again. He's waiting for his most opportune moment. He's intercepting. But here I've broken it down a bit further. You see, if we can understand the structure, we can build a better structure in our body. You have to learn this and practice this. Then it will give us very, very efficient power, because we're using the bones to do the work. It's like scaffolding, very strong scaffolding. You lock all this scaffolding together, and then you push with this scaffolding. It's extremely powerful, very, very powerful, and very little effort required. The effort is in the tendons. You've got to hold the joints in an isometric tension just to hold the body together. And once you've got the hang of that, you can separate all the joints like I'm doing here in this fighting. I'm falling about, my spine is loose, shoulders are loose, neck is loose, hips are loose, and I can collapse all the joints and fall very efficiently. And if I can fall efficiently, my whole body weight moves fast. I'm not fighting against it. I'm like water, falling and crashing and rolling. And I'm using body weight, and 75 kilos or so. If I can efficiently use my body weight, or dropping 75 kilos onto your opponent is quite a lot. You see, we can't drop efficiently because we've got tension. The tension is stopping you falling. So you have to learn total relaxation. And this body flow is total relaxation. It's drunken style. I'm like a drunken person falling about, but I'm controlling the falling into my opponent, and that's very efficient. Very little work. I'm not doing any work. I'm just falling about. And I'm just got to learn how to fall in the right direction, in the right way, through a right flow in the joints. And this relaxation is still a bit more to it. This is also about creating a whip. If I can create a flow through the joints, a flow through the bones, so in my spine I start a wave, it goes through my rib cage, through my shoulder, elbow and wrist. At the end of this wave is a very powerful whip. And there's a little whip there. So I just whip up the hand, and at the end, there again, a little whip to the fingertips. So this is a very short, sharp, powerful motion. Now it's not very powerful if you don't do it right. Again, a lot of people think this is useless, but they're not experiencing the whip. A whip is an acceleration. It starts off slow, so it doesn't look like much, and it's only at the very last moment when the fingers accelerate to their maximum. It's like the crack of the whip. The whip starts off slow, but at the end you hear a crack. It's broken the sound barrier. The end of the whip is very, very fast. And we have to practice this. You have to feel it. It's not easy to do. This is a high-level skill. So the ultimate goal of relaxation, body flow, this moving like water, is to create a whip through the body. And that's a very efficient method of striking. So I'm falling and whipping. And then together with this is all on the yin side. I've got the yang side, which is the alignment and body structure. So you look at other videos on structural isometrics, I call it. I'll leave the link below. So you can see me working on that method of fighting. But here we're working on being like water. We're being like water. We're taking the form of whichever position our partner is pushing us in. So when he's punching me in the face, he's moving me into a particular form. I've got to go with it. If he's punching me in the body, I've got to move with it. I take the form he's trying to put me into. He's trying to push into me. Well, I go with it, and I absorb that punch, and I take the form that he wants. But that doesn't matter to me because I use that form to create another strike and throw that back at him, which he's not ready for, hopefully. So this is how it works. We've got to move. There's a tide. You're going in and out, yin and yang, expanding and contracting. You're being pushed and then you're pushing back. You're absorbing and then you're pushing back. And in order to be able to do this, we've got to access a flow state. I'm getting into a particular feeling, a state of mind. I'm in a flow state. And people talk about the flow state now a lot, and it's a very important state of mind. If you can achieve the flow state, it's extremely productive and efficient. And you can use it for anything, not just martial arts. But of course, martial arts is all about the flow state. You've got to switch your mind off. You're not too self-conscious anymore. You're feeling the flow in your body, and you're just going instantaneously with it. You're allowing the chi to lead you. You're letting the chi take over. It's not your thinking. You're not thinking anymore. You're going with the flow. You're feeling it. And it's spontaneous and it's very, very fast because you're not even... if your brain makes a decision, it goes through the nervous system, that's quite slow. Your brain is not making a decision anymore. It's your body making a decision. It's your subconscious mind. So you've got to train this for a long period of time so that this feeling goes into your subconscious. Your subconscious understands the body posture. It understands the body flow. Then your mind can switch off and you're just going with the flow. This is the chi. You're feeling the chi, you're feeling the force. This is the Jedi. This is the way the Jedi fight. They just feel it. The force moves them. They're moving with the force and using that to fight. And it's effortless. Everything becomes effortless. So it feels like telekinesis. This is the force. I'm moving things without effort. Yeah, I'm still using my body to do it, so it's not quite telekinesis, but no one else knows how easy this is. And I'm fighting like this. Again, I'm doing a lot. There's a lot of power going on here. I'll have to have a go. If you ever get a chance to fight with me, you'll know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of power, but it doesn't look like I'm not doing much. It feels effortless to me, and I can go on and on doing this for hours. Well, you see I'm falling in. That is effortless. And I roll back. A lot of strength. You see how far I pushed him? But it was easy. I just fell back, twisted back, felt the flow. No effort on my part, but I moved him a lot. And the same when I do sudden power. I'm locking a structure. It's effortless. And I'm creating a force. This is like the force in Star Wars. I'm pushing him away with the force. Sure, it's still my hand hitting him, but I've done no work for it. It feels effortless to me. It's like telekinesis. So this is the ability. This is what we're working on in body efficiency training. You can think of it as we are Jedis training the force. Or we are Bruce Lee moving like water. This is all the same thing that we're doing. And this is also a great metaphor for living life. We need this in all aspects of life. And this is the Tao, this is the way, the effortless way. It's the way of doing things without doing anything. It's also the lazy person's way, the lazy man's way. But it's efficiency. We're not doing too much work. So how do we live our life like that? Well, it's the same business. Things happen to us. We don't react in emotion. Respond carefully. Go with the flow. Feel it and absorb it. And recognize when you have to immediately react. You have to sometimes intercept. There is a warrior aspect to this. So sometimes things happen to you. You've got to react fast. No, this is not happening. Like if you're in a car wreck, you're about to crash your car, you're driving, you've got to be fast. Jam the brakes on fast. You've got to be aware. So sometimes you've got to move fast, and sometimes you've got to evade, you've got to slip away, and sometimes you've got to just go with the flow. You've got to take the punches, roll with the punches. Ride the wave out. It's the most efficient way. It's tough luck. You're going to get punched in the face, but if you get punched in the face, roll with it, and you will reduce the impact of the punch. Same in life. Sometimes you get knocked, something comes. Listen, it's tough luck. Life is like that. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. So when you get knocked in the face, you've got to roll with it. What did Rocky say? It's not how hard you can punch, it's how hard you can be punched and still get up and keep going. It's how hard can you receive this strike. Well, this is a little secret I'm telling you now. You can receive a very hard strike if you roll with it. And it's more than just rolling with it. You've got to absorb it. You've got to pull away. Now, I had an accident a few years ago, very serious accident. I got struck in my eye. And I'll tell you how this worked. I work in a workshop, a studio, and I bought a circular saw. So it's a table saw, and it's got a safety guard that comes down. And I didn't bother using my goggles. Again, my own foolishness. I always put goggles on. But because I thought, well, there's a safety guard here, that's fine. So I'm cutting the wood, and the safety guard itself came at an angle, hit the blade, and the safety guard flew off and hit me in my eye, my left eye. So it's like being cut with a sword, and I'm at point blank range. This thing is moving so fast, I'm struck in the eye with this safety blade, like a sword, vertically across my left eye. So there's no way I can respond to the speed of this. But nevertheless, what happened was, the moment it happened, when I opened my eyes, I turned around. I was facing the back. I had faced away. So even though I was hit in the face, I must have spun round so fast, I didn't even realise that I'd spun round. And I was looking at the mirror behind me. And I realised I'd spun round so fast I couldn't even imagine that I'd done it. And of course my first thought is, oh my God, I've lost my eye. And I was nervous to open my eye. But eventually I opened my eye, looked in the mirror, and it was still there. I could still see. But I had a serious bruise. It went across my eye. But you see, the two things happened. One, I squeezed my eyeball shut very tight, so that all the muscles in my eye activated. So that would protect my eye to a certain degree. If my eye was loose, it would have bounced. Squeeze the eye really, really tight, and that gives some cushion. Secondly, I let my head move and spin round as fast as I possibly could, so that absorbed some of the impact. So that reduced the impact. So although I took a serious impact, I reduced it to some degree, and I protected my eye, and I saved my eye. Now, nevertheless, I had a little operation, and I've got a damage in that eye. It's a bit lazy now, so you might notice one of my eyes I've got to work on. But I do work on that, and I'm going to do some exercises soon on the face, and I'll talk about that, facial exercises. But okay, I hope you enjoyed this little video here. This is all about body flow, moving your body like water, and going with the chi, feeling the chi. And I'll leave the links. Check out some of these videos here about the structural work, how to hold a strong body structure, and the neutral stance. Do check out the neutral stance, how to build this most efficient body structure. Okay, thanks for watching. Please do like and subscribe, and leave any questions below. I will get back to you.